The U.S. Supreme Court agreed to review the lawsuit filed by Hobby Lobby against the federal government. The Oklahoma City-based company is fighting against the Affordable Care Act mandate that employers provide contraceptive coverage for employees. Hobby Lobby is particularly opposed to paying for coverage of the morning after pill. The owners of Hobby Lobby have strong Christian beliefs, and they contend the Religious Freedom Restoration Act of 1993 shields their company from the mandate. The 10th Circuit Court of Appeals sided with the company, but the U.S. Justice Department asked the Supreme Court to review the decision. Joining us now from the Oklahoman's Washington, D.C. Bureau is Chris Castile. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, Dave. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Great.
Has the court agreed to hear similar cases?
They did. They agreed to hear two cases today, the Hobby Lobby case that you described well, and the another case out of Pennsylvania that was a challenge to this mandate that was brought by a Mennonite Christian family that makes kitchen cabinets. And in that case, the Federal Circuit that includes Pennsylvania drew the exact opposite conclusion as the 10th Circuit case drew in the Hobby Lobby case, saying basically, look, corporations are not like people. They don't have the same religious freedom that people have. They're incorporated for profit. So you have two conflicting circuit court decisions, and these circuit courts, Dave, are one level below the U.S. Supreme Court. And it's common, especially in a really contentious, important case like this, if you've got a conflict like that among the circuits, that the Supreme Court steps in and decides which circuit is right, basically. So yeah, the court essentially accepted the two cases together today, and they'll hear them both.
Interesting. We're chatting with Chris Castile via Skype from our Washington, D.C. Bureau. And Chris, any response from the Obama administration?
Well, the Obama administration, though, trying to, the White House anyway, I should say, commented today in general on the policy, rather than getting into the legal specifics of the cases. The White House Press Secretary Jay Carney said, look, this mandate is legal. We have, made some exceptions in this mandate for religious organizations like churches and some nonprofit religious organizations. But as far as the nonprofit companies go, this is a healthcare matter, and it's a decision between a doctor and a woman how they pursue these birth control options. And David Green, who's the founder and CEO of Hobby Lobby, said, look, I'm glad the Supreme Court took this case. We shouldn't have to, make decisions on whether we break the law or break our religious belief, break our faith. So that's basically how the two sides responded today.
So we have two separate opinions from two different circuit courts, kicked it up to the Supreme Court. And Chris, when do you expect the High Court to make a ruling on the case?
It'll probably, it could go to the very end of the end of the term into next summer, but sometime within this term that they're in, which ends in June. I mean, they've consolidated the cases. I'll hear them at the same time. But, they may have oral arguments before the court sometime next spring, and should get a decision in this, by June. This is the second time, as you know, Dave, that the Supreme Court has taken up some aspect of the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. In the summer of 2012, they came down with a major decision on the individual mandate, upheld that, and but rejected the Obamacare's requirement that states expand Medicaid. So this obviously does not have near the impact immediately as those decisions did, though when you hear from some of the experts on both sides of this issue, they say the implications of how the court rules in this could be pretty big, and in terms of not just religious freedom, but also in how employers approach what they choose to cover. If the court rules that this corporation can use its religious beliefs to not cover certain contraception methods, well, what does that open the door to? So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how narrowly the court tailors their decisions in this case. These cases, I'm sorry.
It's one of the big stories today. Chris Castile, we appreciate your time via Skype from Washington, D.C. Thank you, sir.
You bet, Dave.
And more coverage can be found online at newsok.com from Chris Castile and in tomorrow's Oklahoman.